only Golfsmith has the expertise you need to help you give the perfect round. Shop Golfsmith and golfsmith.com's can't miss gifts today.
Coming up on 12 noon, CBS News is next. We have no backup or delay now at the downtown tunnel. That's all cleared out following that earlier crash that stopped traffic. And then we had the bridge opening of the Berkeley Bridge that stopped traffic, but everything's back to normal now. Midtown, Hampton Roads, Bridgestone, Monterey, Merrimack, everything's moving along fine. James River Bridge still doing those mobile right lane closures southbound 17. They're doing some work for the light poles out there. They're north of the Alawite County line. Should be done with that before too much longer. Crash in Norfolk should be clearing up shortly. Granby Street and Willowwood Drive right there on the north side of the Granby Street Bridge. Sunny skies today with a high of 45 degrees. Tonight, mostly clear, a low of 30. Mostly sunny tomorrow with a high of 57 degrees. Friday, cloudy, 66. Mostly cloudy Saturday, 68. And partly cloudy on Sunday with a high of 72. Rain comes our way on Monday, cooling it off a bit to 61. And then more December-like temperatures on Tuesday. Mostly sunny and a high of 43 degrees. Stay tuned for Sports Scene right after CBS on K-Talk 1650. It's 12 noon. K-Talk 1650. Your source for great talk radio and news in southeastern Virginia is AM 1650 WHKT Portsmouth.
CBS News. I'm Steve Kathan. It's a big day at Jenny's Gift Shop in San Jose, California, where one of two winning Mega Millions tickets was sold for a $648 million jackpot. The store gets $1 million, and brand new owner Twee Nguyen's excited.
What I'm going to do with the money? I try to be successful in USA.
He came to this country from Vietnam 20 years ago. The winner has not come forward. John Redding is with the California Lottery.
We're excited. We're excited. It's a big jackpot for California, for the lottery, and we're just excited.
No sign of the other winner as yet either. That ticket was sold at a newsstand in Atlanta. Not in New Orleans, where an ex-BP engineer's trial has come to an end.
Jurors here at federal court in New Orleans found the engineer guilty of obstructing justice by deleting text messages related to the 2010 BP oil disaster in the Gulf. The conviction carries a maximum of a $250,000 fine and 20 years in prison.
But I doubt the judge would be inclined to give such a sentence.
Legal analyst Tim Mesh says Kurt Nix argues that he was just deleting old text messages he didn't need, but the jury didn't buy it. At the federal courthouse, Dave Cohen for CBS News, New Orleans.
A government panel's out with new guidelines for treating older people who have high blood pressure.
Traditionally, high blood pressure has been treated to a goal blood pressure of 140/90. We should be treating adults over age 60 who do not have diabetes or kidney disease to a new goal of 150/90.
The University of Iowa's Dr. Paul James says aggressive treatment for older people can lead to fainting and falls. J.P. Morgan Chase is suing the Federal Deposit Insurance Corporation for $1 billion. It's about J.P. Morgan's purchase of the troubled Washington Mutual Bank that failed in 2008. CBS News business analyst Jill Schlesinger.
It's going to hinge on whether a judge believes that J.P. Morgan knew that it was buying all the bad stuff along with the good stuff, or whether the FDIC really did indemnify J.P. Morgan, which means protected them against these liabilities in the future.
Unique justice in a North Carolina town.
18-year-old Harley Fulp admitted burning down a Stokesdale, North Carolina Methodist church to get back at relatives who attend services there. Pastor Wanda Lancaster then put her faith to practice.
I have forgiven Harley for what he has done and asked that the judge not send him to prison because I don't feel like prison is the answer for an 18-year-old.
The teen's sentence includes reading an apology letter to the congregation and helping rebuild the church he torched. Jim Krasula, CBS News.
A California wine collector has been convicted at his New York fraud trial. Rudy Kurniawan made millions selling what prosecutors said was fake vintage wine made in his kitchen. Wall Street Dow's up 17. This is CBS News.
If you're a homeowner who's faithfully made your mortgage payments, you deserve thanks for doing the right thing. And I'd like to tell you about a powerful financial tool that rewards your commitment. Hi, I'm Jay Farner, president of Quicken Loans, and the tool that I'm talking about is the Home Affordable Refinance Program, or HARP. HARP is designed to help you lower your mortgage payments. It's for homeowners who are current on their mortgage payments, but due to the housing market may have little or no equity left in their home. And even if you were unable to get a HARP loan in the past, new guidelines mean that now you may be eligible. More than 2.5 million homeowners have already taken advantage of HARP and are saving an average of $250 a month. The rate today on a 30-year fixed mortgage is 4.375%. APR 4.64%. To learn more, call Quicken Loans today at 800-QUICKEN or go to QuickenLoans.com. That number again is 800-QUICKEN.
Important terms and conditions apply. Call us for cost information. Equal housing lender. Licensed in all 50 states. NMLS number 3030.
New developments in a tug-of-war between Congress and the CIA. Here's CBS's Heather Bosch.
Senators want to look at the CIA's own report about one of its most controversial post-9/11 programs.
Using torture and using it officially as a policy, as a method of interrogation.
Jesselyn Radak heads a nonprofit whistleblowers group. She wants not only the CIA, but the Senate Intelligence Committee to release their separate reports. She says both are thought to detail interrogation techniques like waterboarding and sleep deprivation. She wants people held accountable. President Obama ended the controversial program when he took office. Heather Bosch, CBS News.
Police in Rehoboth Beach, Delaware, say a 44-year-old woman applying for a job at a burger joint stole money from tip jars on her way out. $15 was taken from 2 jars. A review of the application and surveillance video led to an arrest. Steve Kathan, CBS News.
Give a garden. You want to give one special gift to a runner, biker, golfer, or sailor, a pilot, car driver, or outdoor explorer. Give a garment and get thank you. Give a garment. Give a garment. Find something fun for everyone. Garmin.com, Garmin.com.
Staples Copy and Print knows you need to promote your business.
Outdoor banners.
Detailing your one-of-a-kind product offering.
Trifold, full-color, double-sided brochures.
As you grow your business.
Business cards, postcards, car magnets.
And your customer base.
Design services, presentations, shipping.
So you go to the one place that has it all and prints it right.
Staples.
And right now, save 50% on our best-selling signs and banners. Design online, pick up in store, same day. See staples.com/same-day print for details. Staples. Make more happen.
Chesapeake, Virginia, 1650 AM WHKT presents Sports Scene. Sports Scene features local, regional, and nationally acclaimed guests and excellent interviews. Follow Sports Scene on Twitter at Greg Bick and at GJBTV.com. Now here is Greg Bickaveris.
And thank you very much, Ken Johnson. Glad you're with us for Sports Scene right here on 1650 AM News Talk, 1650 and 1650 WHKT.com. Also listen to it on TuneIn.com by simply punching WHKT 1650. Sports Scene is an interview show, just like my TV program, Sports Highlights, on NNPSTV.com. Always want to thank you to our troops, our sponsors, and our listeners. And also a week before holidays, happy holidays to everybody. Please drive safely. Also, the 2 key words today are empathy and etiquette, because I know a lot of us lose patience in line when we're waiting for the holidays, but also have fellow empathy and etiquette for your fellow man. Find me on Facebook at Greg Bickaveris, at Twitter at Greg Bick, at Sports Highlight, at GJBTV, and also find the station on Facebook and Twitter as well. For more, go to my sponsors page at GJBTV.com. I'll be having my highlights as well as random thoughts and, of course, our great guest as well today. Lefty Driesell, the former Maryland basketball coach, live and exclusive right here on Sports Scene, right here on 1650 AM just in a few moments. Also, Trey Herbert and Nate Milton will join me as well to talk about some roundtable sporting events and action going on as well. A lot going on, and we have a lot to look forward to talk today about with it right here on the radio. And I tell you, Jameson Winston also winning the Heisman Trophy as well. Good for him. But, of course, a lot going on. Lefty Driesell is coming up next right here on Sports Scene. Attention gun enthusiasts, your complete store for guns is at 240 North Battlefield Boulevard in Chesapeake. Tom and the staff will assist you with tactical guns, custom AR builds, and they handle service and repair. Battlefield Guns and Ammo has specials, and they buy, sell, trade, consign, and do FFL transfers, and always look out for the military and the police. Log on to BattlefieldGunshop.com and call 410-7720. Open Monday through Saturday, this is your store for guns, ammo, and accessories. Battlefield Guns and Ammo in Chesapeake.
Nor'easter season is here, so don't get all wet.
Protect your house. Call Crawl Space Door Systems at 363-0005. Reduce your flood insurance, reduce the threat of mold and insects, and save energy. Crawl Space Doors, air vents, flood vents, vent covers, and fans can help you stay dry or get you dry quickly. Contact Crawl Space Doors for more information at 363-0005 or online at crawlspacedores.com. Stay dry, my friends.
Coming to K-Talk 1650 in 2014, the Hampton Roads Admirals. That's right. You never have to miss an Admirals game because you can hear them coming in January 2014 on K-Talk 1650. Now back to Sports Scene on 1650 AM WHKT.
You better watch out, you better not cry, better not pout, I'm telling you why. Santa Claus is coming to town.
Ken, all we need now is Frank Sinatra, a little, Milton Berle, and Tony Bennett. We're just right in tune for the holidays. Greg Beckevaris, glad you're with us. Lefty Drizel will join us momentarily after this next break. I'm going to go ahead and do my highlight section right now. Right here before we get to Lefty Drizel, the former Maryland, James Madison, Davidson, and Georgia State head coach. We'll get to the highlight section as soon as Ken gives me the cue.
It's now time for Greg's Highlights on Sports Scene, presented by GJBTV.com Marketplace Sponsors Page.
And we're going to come to you strong right here before Lefty Drizel. The NFL final push is here. Mack Brown indeed moves on from Texas, but I tell you, is that the right choice? He had a winning record. Who are they going to find better than Mack Brown over at Texas? It'll be hard to find anybody better than Mack Brown. And look, in the Cowboys, some of those guys that were interviewing Jerry Jones right after the game, yes, the Cowboys lost. He's the owner. Give him a little bit more respect. And I do agree with Jerry Jones. How many people would you like to have in your job saying, are you coming back next year? Are you coming back next year? Have some empathy and etiquette. Yes, it's Jerry Jones, but still, that's not the time and place to ask about Garrett, whether he's going to come back next year. Pacers Heat, Wednesday night on ESPN, that'll be a dandy tonight. Uniforms in college, Oregon, UVA, really learn from great schools like Alabama, Ohio State, Oklahoma, and Penn State. They don't need to change their uniforms and not dictated by big shoe companies each year. As I said in the opening, Jameson Winston winning the Heisman Trophy, very good for him. He'll be better in the NFL. Mark that words. Talk radio can go anywhere. TuneIn.com is where you can listen live on this show and anywhere on 1650 AM WHKT. Also, I'm looking forward to the Cowboys-Redskins game Sunday. That'll be on Fox at 1 o'clock. NBA in the East, rough start. Still basketball does not get the attention it deserves until after the Super Bowl is done. So we'll get to the random thoughts a little bit later. That's the Sports Scene Highlights page presented by GJBTV.com Marketplace Sponsors on a week before Christmas on this December 18th. Pretty mild weather for December. I will take it. Greg Beckevaris, Ken Johnson, Devontae. This is Sports Scene right here on the radio. Glad you're with us anywhere in Hampton Roads and beyond on 1650 AM and on TuneIn.com on 1650 AM as well. We'll take a short break. Come back with Lefty Drizel after these messages.
Nor'easter season is here, so don't get all wet.
Protect your house. Call Crawl Space Door Systems at 363-0005. Reduce your flood insurance, reduce the threat of mold and insects, and save energy. Crawl Space Doors, air vents, flood vents, vent covers, and fans can help you stay dry or get you dry quickly. Contact Crawl Space Doors for more information at 363-0005 or online at crawlspacedores.com. Stay dry, my friends.
Attention gun enthusiasts, your complete store for guns is at 240 North Battlefield Boulevard in Chesapeake. Tom and the staff will assist you with tactical guns, custom AR builds, and they handle service and repair. Battlefield Guns and Ammo has specials, and they buy, sell, trade, consign, and do FFL transfers, and always look out for the military and the police. Log on to BattlefieldGunshop.com and call 410-7720. Open Monday through Saturday, this is your store for guns, ammo, and accessories. Battlefield Guns and Ammo in Chesapeake.
Does your kitchen resemble the Industrial Revolution with steam billowing from stovetop pots and pans to humidify your home? Wintertime heating dryness can damage floors, furniture, create equipment-damaging static electricity, not to mention dry skin and high utility bills. Applied Mechanical has the solution with a humidification system tied to the thermostat, providing the right balance of moisture in your home. Professional installation, once-a-year service, literally set it and forget it. Call Applied Mechanical, 495-6676, 495-6676. There are many places you can go and shop and find absolutely family-friendly items. Well, there's one place you can, and that's the K-Talk store. 2202 Jolliffe Road, just off of Portsmouth Boulevard and I-664, open Monday through Friday, 9 to 5. You'll find all kind of books, history books, past, present leaders, Bibles, commentaries, devotionals, motivational, inspirational, children's books, biographies, poetry, family-friendly DVD titles, contemporary Christian music. We've got Hugh Hewitt books. You've heard him here on K-Talk 1650. Now you get to read some of the great writings of Hugh Hewitt. It's all family-friendly, and it's all waiting for you to come by the K-Talk store. 2202 Jolliffe Road, just off of Portsmouth Boulevard and I-664. We're open Monday through Friday, 9 to 5. If you have questions or if you need directions, call up 488-1010. That's 488-1010. The K-Talk store is open. Let's get back to Greg Bigoveris and Sports Scene on 1650 WHKT.
We're a couple of misfits. We're a couple of misfits. What's the matter with misfits? That's where we fit in. We're not Daffy and Jelly.
All right, back on the radio right here. You never know what Devontae and Ken got worked up. Lefty will join us in just a few moments. We're going to get to Nate Milton, who's been a colleague of mine on NNPS TV since the 90s, actually since 1995. Of course, Nate Milton right here has been a long-time commentator with NNPS TV at nnpstv.com, where I do sports highlights. Also been the voice of that program since 1991-92 season with football on the shows. Nate, always a pleasure. Welcome to Sports Scene.
Hey, good to be here, Greg. Glad to hear you back on the radio. It's this area needs more local sports talk, my friend.
Absolutely. We're going to get to Lefty Driesell in just a few moments. Of course, Nate's going to lead us off, the leadoff hitter today. And, Nate, we got some random thoughts, of course, and some good topics to talk to you about as well today. Again, Nate Milton on NNPS TV. And, Nate, first of all, let's get your thoughts about the NBA before we get to the NFL. Your thoughts early. It's a big game tonight between the Heat and the Pacers.
Yeah, and I think this is kind of the storyline, the rivalry that the NBA is setting up in the East for this season. You know, the Indiana is looking like they're going to challenge LeBron and D-Wade and challenge the champs, but I think it's still way too early to crown the Pacers. You know, the East outside of Miami and Indiana is terrible. Mm-hmm. I mean, if the playoffs started today, Charlotte, the Bobcats would be the 6th seed. So the East is terrible. To me, Greg, the more interesting thing is, you know, the teams out west kind of jostling for position.
Talking to Nate Milton right here on Sports Scene, 1650 AM, and also on TuneIn.com, punch in WHKT. And, of course, it's still early. It's only December. A lot of times, you know, teams, you know, it's an 82-game season. It's hard to get charged up this early.
Right, and, you know, I think with Miami, we've seen it in the past by other championship teams, notably the Bulls with Michael Jordan. The regular season is kind of an extended preseason. They're just kind of getting their legs underneath them, and they really turn it on, you know, right after Christmas time, heading to that second half of the season. And I think that we'll see Miami. They're getting guys healthy. LeBron, of course, still the best player on the planet. I think that, you know, Indiana's good, but they have to show me that they're better than Miami. You know, as of right now, I think the Heat still have to be the favorite to come out of the East.
All right, let's talk about the big TV draw, of course, the NFL. The three biggest words in sports and television are NFL. The ratings as well, too, always great for every game, whether it's on Fox, CBS, NFL Network, or NBC. What a week of drama, Nate Milton, of course, for the Redskins and the Cowboys both. First, the Redskins, RG3 on the bench for the final 3 games, including the Cowboys game this coming weekend on Fox, and also the Cowboys are getting pressured about, losing again in the final closing moments.
Absolutely, Greg. I mean, the sky is blue, water is wet, and there's drama in D.C.
Yeah.
What else is new? I think that, you know, for all the Redskins fans out there, I know there's a ton of them in this area that kind of jumped so wholeheartedly on the Kirk Cousins bandwagon. I think Cousins is a fine player. He's a great backup, and he can, start in a spot here or there. But this is RG3's team, and I think Shanahan has sealed his fate. That relationship is irreparable. I think we'll see a new coach brought in next year because there still is a lot of good players to build around. They just need a different leader. As far as the Cowboys go, how many times have we seen this, Greg? Every December they seem to collapse, and I used to think Tony Romo choked in December, but now I think he's just generous with all these interceptions he's giving out early Christmas presents.
Talking to Nate Milton right here. Lefty Driesell will join us right after Nate Milton as well, getting ready for a lefty, the former Maryland Davidson James Madison basketball coach, also coached at Newport News High School in Granby. Remember, folks, Sports Scene, Nate knows this better than anybody, is an interview, personality-driven show. We cater to everybody. Yes, Dennis Prager is one here every day from 12 to 3, but we talk all things talk. Talk radio is news, weather, traffic, sports, entertainment, politics. We get it covered. And I'll even interview some politicians as time goes on. Nate Milton, of course, you mentioned the Redskins and the Cowboys, but, and to me, nobody's even talking about this. How much damage is this doing to RG3's psyche that I'm not the man, I'm on the bench, I persevered so much. He wanted to play in the preseason. That was his choice. He wasn't ready. Sure, he wasn't ready maybe in September, but he's ready now. And how much mental damage is that doing to the kid? Because he's a good kid.
He's a good kid. I think that part of this whole situation, he does have to bear some of the brunt for that, though. I think that, he should have taken a step back, and more to the point, Shanahan should have stepped up and said, we love you, Robert, you're our future, but we're not going to jeopardize your career, for a couple games early on in the season. And I think he made this big statement about he wants to protect RG3 and sit him down the last 3 games. He should have done that at the beginning of the season, and maybe the Redskins would be in a position where they could be contending for a playoff spot.
Now, as far as the Ravens, they beat the Lions Monday. It was a great kick there by their field goal kicker. But then you saw in one of the games on Sunday night, the one of the kickers and the punters there got really hurt there.
Oh, yeah, dirty hit, blindside hit by the Bengals punter by the Pittsburgh Steelers, Antonio Brown on the kick return, I believe. And, that's what the NFL doesn't want to see. The overriding theme of this season and the season past has been the emphasis on making the game safer with all the concussion research and everything coming out. And that's not what Roger Goodell wants to see. That being said, it's a physical game. Football, you can't put flags on these guys and make it two-hand touch. It's a contact sport. It's a collision sport, and people are going to get hurt.
Your final thoughts, too, Nate, about the Bowls. Here we are in bowl season, but really the only one that really matters, again, is the BCS championship. I guess next year will be a lot easier when there's a playoff.
I was going to say, I cannot wait until next year when we get a couple more teams in this thing. I know, being a Buckeyes fan, you wish there was a playoff this year.
Well, yeah, especially my late father, Jim Bickavere, is the biggest Ohio State fan around, but you're exactly right. And Nate, random thought, again, with all the bowls and the Redskins, it's going to be really curious to see how the Panthers, how they hold up in this type of pressure the next 2 weeks. Got a big game against the Saints. I
really like the Panthers. I've always been a fan of Cam Newton. I think last year he had the quote-unquote sophomore slump, but this year he has really become a leader of that team. And, this game is going to be very important because if they can get over a Saints team that hadn't looked good on the road, I think Carolina could be in position to do some big things in the playoffs.
Hey, look, I know you follow the station all the time. You like politics. I'll leave you with one question. Isn't it amazing in all the technology we got? I was talking to Devontae and Ken about this, whether it's Facebook, phones, technology, laptops, computers, Twitter, it doesn't matter, that in Virginia we couldn't determine a winner for the Attorney General because of all the processes of technology.
Yeah, I don't care what side of the aisle you're on. It's like we've got to figure out a better way in terms of, tabulating votes. I think that, I've got a phone right now that I can hit a button and watch a movie on my phone, but we can't figure out a way to accurately and efficiently count votes. So I think, that's something that we've got to work on and do better with.
All right, Nate Milton, thanks a lot. All the best to you and NNPS TV, and have a happy holiday season.
All right, thanks for having me, Greg. I love the show, and you have a great holiday season as well, my friend.
We'll talk to you soon. Thank you, Nate.
All right.
Okay, Nate Milton right there, and we promise Lefty Driesell on 1650 AM WHKT.com in just a few moments right here on Sports Scene, of course, presented by GJBTV.com. Don't forget our good friends at Crown's Fried Chicken, delicious fried chicken, burgers, fish sandwiches, sides, and much more. Call 595-0055 at 11111 Jefferson Avenue, Newport News. Also, Silver Eagle Coins, the Virginia coin and gold dealer at 2724 North Mile Drive in Virginia Beach. Call them at 351-1105 or go to silvereaglecoinsva.com, and Spaghetti Eddie's with 2 locations in Greenbrier and on Taylor Road. All right, this is Sports Scene. Hope you enjoyed hearing from Nate Milton. Sports Scene is an interview show I've been doing for several years in Hampton Roads. Glad you're with us. For more, go to Greg Bick on Twitter. It's a gentleman I've had on the radio before. I've had him on Sports Highlights on nnpstv.com. Really doesn't need any formal introduction. Former Granby coach, former Newport News High School coach, Davidson, Maryland, James Madison legend, as well as Georgia State. From Virginia Beach, Lefty Driesell, welcome.
Hey, how you doing, Greg?
Good, my friend. How's it going for you and the family? They're getting ready for the holidays?
Yeah, I guess.
That's it. Well, of course you saw.
I have to get ready for every day.
Exactly. You were born on Christmas Day, weren't you?
Yeah.
That's right. Exactly.
So I'm getting older.
That's it. But you're also getting wiser too. Of course.
I don't know about that.
Yeah. Give us an update on Chuck, your son, coaching Citadel. You saw him at Navy recently. How was the reception? How did the Navy fans treat you when you walked in there last few weeks?
Oh, they didn't even know who I was.
Really?
No, I saw Don DeVoe, who lives over there, and Jerry Gimbelstaub, and saw a couple people that knew me, but people over there don't know who I am.
Right. Well, let's talk about this area has a rich history for you. You grew up here. You went to Granby High School, of course. You went to Duke, and then, of course, the rest is history. And one thing about your career, Coach, nobody really brings up a lot. You weren't an assistant coach that much. You were always a head coach.
I was never an assistant coach.
Yeah.
My first job was at Granby as the head JV coach, and then the next year, Paul Smith, who was the head varsity coach, he left, and I took over. So I've never been an assistant. I just learned all my stuff the hard way.
Yeah, and then I guess Julie Kahn prepped you, and it really helped you going into your the Davidson job as well.
Yeah, well, I started Granby when I was in the second grade, so I was Bill Story's manager for football, who's probably, I think, the greatest coach in the history of the state of Virginia. Maybe the guy over there at Hampton, I can't think of his name right off the top of my head, but Bill Story won 3 straight state championships and played in the Orange Bowl, and so I was his manager from the second grade till I started playing football in the 9th grade. And then Donald Griffin was my high school coach, who he won a state championship, and he won a sort of like a national champion. Duke used to have a Duke Invitational high school tournament. They had teams there from all over the country, so they won there. And then, of course, I worked with Julie Kahn for 3 years, I guess, right?
Yeah, when you were at Davidson, of course, you were getting ready. Obviously, you were there for several years, but that's in the hot blood there of North Carolina. And back then, of course, Dean Smith was coaching, and of course, and little did you know that you'd be facing Carl Tacey and both Bill Foster's and Dean Smith later. But Davidson really helped you for the Maryland job, didn't it, Coach?
Oh yeah, I mean, Davidson didn't have 900 boys when I was there, and we were in the top 10. We were in the final top 10 1, 2, 3, 4 times, and the final top 18 twice. And we're the smallest school in the history of collegiate basketball to ever have a team ranked in the final top 10, and we went to the final 8 twice. And we had great teams, great players, and great teams. Fred Hetzel was a number 2 draft pick in the NBA draft when he came out. Dick Snyder played in the NBA for I think 10 years, and he was considered to be the best shooter in the NBA when he played in the NBA. So, we had a lot of great teams at Davidson. Mike Malloy might have been one of my top 2 or 3 players that I ever coached. He was a great player. So we had some great teams at Davidson.
Talking to former Maryland basketball coach Lefty Driesell, Greg Bicaveras. This is Sports Scene on this December 18th, 1650 AM News Talk 1650. Type in tunein.com and punch in WHKT 1650 as well. CBS News, home of North Carolina football and Admirals hockey starting in January right here on 1650 AM. And then, of course, you move on to Maryland, of course, and great teams there. And you said early on that you wanted to make Maryland the UCLA of the East there, and of course, you won the NIT championship in 1972. So that really started a lot of good things.
Well, yeah, we some great teams. We had, I'd have to look again. At Maryland, we had six teams ranked in the final top 10 and 3 in the final 18. And then at Georgia State, we had my next two last year, we ranked 32nd in the final poll. So,
yeah, and
I've had good players wherever I went.
Even in 94, your James Madison team went to the NCAA tournament too. But let's talk about some of your Maryland teams. I guess, I mean, a lot of people in some generations, depending on when, because you started there in the 69-70 season all the way up until 1986 for 17 years. And we're going to take a break here just a few moments and have CBS News. But I'm going to ask Lefty one more question before our break, and he's going to stay on hold with us. Is people still talk about that Maryland-NC State ACC tournament game to this day?
Well, it was historic, up until that time. What year was that? I forgot.
The early 70s.
Yeah, 74 or something. See, only one team from a league went to the NCAA playoffs. The year we won the NIT, see, we only 24 teams went to the NCAA. So we were probably the second or third best team in the country that year, behind UCLA, NC State, and us. So, when we lost in double overtime and NC State went on to win the national championship, people said, we got to start letting more than one team in. So the next year they let two teams in from a league. And I'd have to look up the dates. I got to do that because I'm writing a book now anyway.
Oh, cool. Look.
And then after that, they started to see all of my career at Davidson and up until 74 at Maryland, they did not seed teams. You had to play the best teams in the East. And the East, that's where North Carolina, Duke, everybody, the NC State was. The East was much better than the Midwest and the West and whatever. So, it was tough to get to the NCAA playoffs because you had to win the tournament. We lost the tournament 6 times in the finals at Maryland.
All right.
And we won it one time by forfeit because NC State was on probation. So we only went to the NCAAs twice in those 6 years.
Hey, Coach, hold that thought 1 second. We're having a CBS News update, and we'll come right back to you. So hold on 1 minute.
CBS is next, 12:31.
CBS News Update. I'm Steve Kathan. It's still a mystery. Who are the millionaires holding the 2 winning Mega Millions lottery tickets? The $648 million prize, the second biggest in U.S. history. A lot of excitement at the store where one of the tickets was sold in California.
A very good day. I'm so excited. I win $1 million too.
That's the owner of Jenny's Gift Shop in San Jose, who stands to get $1 million for the sale.
I'm going to keep on walking. Yeah, because my life's too young. That's why I think I'm still working.
CBS's John Blackstone is there.
We don't yet know who came into this little store and bought the winning ticket sometime in the last few days, but that name is likely to come out. California, as well as Georgia, where the other winning ticket was bought, are states where lottery winners are public record, subject to disclosure.
The other sale location, a newsstand in Atlanta. CBS News Update. I'm Steve Kathan.
Melikilikimaka is a thing to say on a bright Hawaiian Christmas day.
And, Coach, you were born on Christmas Day.
Call, see if it was one of your grandchildren.
Hey, Coach, Greg Bicaveras, glad you're with us back on Sports Scene right here. And of course,
see, 3 of my grandchildren, or 4 or 5 of them, live in Atlanta, so I hope they were the one that won that money.
Oh, yeah. I mean, somebody won that money, You've always been lucky, too, Coach. But you talk about those rivalries, and, that was Norm Sloan, the late Norm Sloan you went against. And you at NC State, doesn't matter who it was, both Bill Fosters. You had to play one Bill Foster at Duke and then the other Bill Foster at Clemson. And you and Carl Tacey always had good games as well. I mean, and we're not even talking about Dean Smith and Coach K. I mean, the ACC was really great back in the 70s and the 80s.
Yeah, well, it's great today. It's always been great, but the bad thing about that, didn't but one team go to NCAA. Now, 8 or 9, 10 teams go to the NCAAs, which I don't think is right. Because I think, say Old Dominion wins the CAC, I think they should get in. I mean, they don't win the tournament, but they win the regular season. They should get in before the 7th or 8th team in the ACC or the Big East.
Mm-hmm. Talking to Lefty Driesell right here on Sports Scene 1650 AM News Talk. Greg Bickaver's glad you're with us. Coach, you're one of the few people that had a chance to coach against Michael Jordan and David Thompson. In my opinion, David Thompson was a better college basketball player, Jordan a better NBA player. You had some great matchups against Thompson, Monty Tao, and, of course, Burleson. Talk about David Thompson.
Well, David Thompson was a great player. I mean, you know, if they allowed you to dunk like they do now, see, back then you couldn't dunk. But he would just catch a ball over the top of the rim and drop it in. He couldn't slam it in. But, you know, he could shoot outside. He was a great leaper, and he was just a great player. I mean, you know,
Yeah. It was just
what did Mike Krzyzewski? Well, Mike Krzyzewski said that two best players he ever coached against, and I think he coached against David Thompson. I can't remember, was Leonard Byers and Michael Jordan.
Sure.
So, but David Thompson was a great player and a great young man. I have a lot of respect for him.
And you had great players, too, including one of your players lives here in Virginia Beach. Played Lenny Bias, played with your son Chuck, played with Terry Long, is Pete Hobart. He lives right here in Hampton Roads. You ever talk to Pete much?
Pete's here. He's not doing too well. He's had some problems with his lip. But, Pete was a good player for me. In fact, we beat UCLA one time, and he was in the game, and I think we were up 1, and he missed the free throw, and we got the rebound. If he would have made it, they'd have had a chance to win. So I praise him for missing that free throw.
Yeah, definitely. But you had some great teams, of course. And I remember, two of the all-time scorers were Ernie Graham and Adrian Branch. And Ernie Graham's son, he transferred. He's at Maryland now as well.
Yeah, he is. I don't know if he's playing that much, but he is. He transferred from Penn State.
Sure.
Playing much there.
Talking to Lefty Driesell, the former Maryland basketball coach, right here on Sports Scene. Also coach at James Madison, Davidson, and Georgia State. Coach, I got to get your thoughts. Maryland going to the Big Ten. I know you did not like that at all. A lot of people still don't like it.
No, I think it's ludicrous. I mean, all the leagues are messed up now. I don't like Boston College being in the ACC or Louisville or whoever else, Syracuse. The kids that go to those schools don't know any kids that go to Maryland. And now Maryland's out there, they're going to have to play Kentucky, Indiana, Iowa, all those teams out there. The kids at their schools don't know any kids here, and vice versa. That's part of the ACC. You'd see, if you went to Duke, you'd see some Maryland guys in the summertime and say, we beat your butt this year,
Yeah.
I think they're spreading the teams out. I mean, the league's out too far. They got too many teams in them. You don't play all of my career, we played everybody in the league twice. Now you don't play them but once, so the regular season doesn't mean anything. And I don't know. The NCAA, to me, is a screwed-up affair.
Yeah, Lefty Driesell joining us right here on Sports Scene. Trey Herbert coming up after this break. And, of course, you're exactly right, too, because how does that help the kids in academics, especially in the heart of the winter, when you got to go to Minnesota, Iowa, and Indiana on the road on all the Olympic sports, too? It's really tough to get good grades and travel.
Yeah, it is. I don't see where they're going. I guess they make a little bit more money because football stadiums out in the Big Ten hold 100,000. Around here they hold about 40 or 50.
Yeah.
So I guess they can make a little bit of money, but I don't. Tom McMillan, who's on the Board of Regents, he's the only one who voted against it.
Yeah.
And he said he'd have never come to Maryland if it had been in the Big Ten.
Yeah, I think a lot of people echo your sentiment. Are you pleased, Coach? Because after you left Maryland, of course, you stayed there a few years in the athletic department, then you went to James Madison. They seem like the final few years here recently, they honored you at the Clemson game. They had you and the former women's basketball coach here recently come by and speak about Midnight Madness, which you kind of started around the country. It seems like your old school is honoring you a lot more, and I know you're pleased by that.
Yeah, they just put a statue up of me in Comcast Center. So, yeah, they've been very nice to me.
But I agree with you. I don't like the naming of courts because, Bill Foster was an excellent coach at Duke as well. Sure, he's not a Coach K, but, how many Dean Smiths and John Woodens are there? When you start naming a coach on a court, you really can, disenfranchise and disengage even in the past history.
Well, I don't want to get into that,
Right.
That's they got my name on the court down at Georgia State, and I was only there 5 years, which is probably a record. Most people stay 20 years before they get the name on the court. But I know. That's neither here nor there.
Well, that one guy you coached against, Jeff Jones at Virginia, he was at Virginia when you had Adrian Branch and when you had Ernie Graham and Gibson and Buck Williams and Greg Manning. What did you think of Jeff Jones as a player at Virginia? What do you think about him as a coach today at Old Dominion?
Well, he was an excellent player, and he played for Terry Holland, who, of course, played for me. And, I never pulled for Turley at the time when he played against us, but I did when he played everybody else. And, Jeff was an outstanding player and actually did an outstanding job at Virginia as a head coach. And I haven't been over. In fact, they're playing College of Charleston
tonight,
and I kind of wanted to go, but I can't. I walk around that good, and because I know Dave Wojcik, the coach at College of Charleston, his brother was one of my assistants at James Madison, and he called me, wanted me to come, but I can't go.
Yeah.
But Jeff's. I've seen him play on TV a couple of times, and I'm impressed with how hard they play, and they're well organized, and I think he just got to get some good players in there. That's what it takes. He can coach. The secret is getting good players.
That's it. And out recruiting, of course, and you always recruited. Even at James Madison, you had William Davis and you had a lot of, and you had Steve Hood, a former Maryland player, and even at Madison. And I remember when I interviewed Chuck when I was working at George Mason for the GME Radio Network my senior year, he said, we're trying to get players at Madison like we did at Maryland. And that's one thing you did. You got Chancellor Nichols, you got William Davis, you had a lot of good players back then at Madison as well.
Well, some of them were good, some of them weren't, but we had some good teams. We won the regular season championship 5 years in a row. Went to postseason play 5 years, but you just got to get the best players you can get. I'm sure Jeff will do that at Old Dominion, and they'll have a good record. But Blaine Taylor had great teams, and I thought he was a great coach and did a great job. And I think he averaged about 25 wins a year.
Yeah.
The only thing is, I think he had a little alcohol problem, but he's a great coach. I hope somebody told me he was going to announce some games this year. I hope he gets back in it because he knows how to coach. He's a heck of a coach.
Yeah, sometimes it's best that everybody just moves on. You're exactly right. Talking to Lefty Driesell, Greg Bick of Aris. This is Sports Scene right here at 1650. Follow me at Greg Bick on Twitter. Follow my buddy Ken Johnson, Devontae as well on Facebook too. For more, log on to gjbtv.com. Check out the marketplace sponsors for your holiday shopping. And final, Coach, your thoughts about today's basketball game, college and the NBA both. I know recently, the last several years, you would go to games at Duke, but you said you're not traveling as much as you used to.
No, I'll probably go to a game, at least one game at Duke and Maryland this year. And hopefully I'll get over and see Old Dominion play. I don't think I'm going tonight, but the game has changed so much. And, you don't have any good. If the guys are big men, they're good defensive players, but they never get the ball on offense because everybody's shooting a three, which I don't particularly like, but it's exciting. And the game has changed. Athletes are so much better now than they were when I played at Duke. I was talking to Vic Bubas, who was a great coach at Duke, and he said there's only one player that I played against or coached against that could play in the NBA now, and that was Dick Groat. Because these guys, they work out with the weights, they train year-round. We couldn't have practice until October the 15th. Now they have practice all summer and go to summer school and lift weights. And so the athletes are a whole lot better now than they used to be.
Coach, I mean, like I said, you went against so many great teams, especially the ACC when ACUC was put on the map on TV. And you know, Bill Foster had some really good teams at Duke, too, with Mike Cheminsky, Gene Banks, and Jim Spanarkel.
Yeah, he had some very good teams there. He was an excellent coach.
Yep. All right, Coach. Well, look, all the best to you and happy holiday season. Stay safe and hope to see you at a basketball game. And give us a shout out for your friend Al. I know Al used to always come up. Al Leitner used to come always up from Virginia Beach and come to your games, didn't he?
Yeah. Well, they call him Coach Leitner, not Al.
All right. Well,
he's a coach. He's an undefeated coach.
Well, look, not many people went up against David Thompson and, of course, Michael Jordan. Lefty Drizel did. We had him exclusively right here on Sports Scene. Coach, all the best to you and your wife and your family.
All right. Thank you, Greg. You have a Merry Christmas.
You too, Coach. And,
all right. Bye.
And that's his birthday on Christmas, and that was a nice little holiday present for the fans in Hampton Roads. And one thing, Ken Johnson, when Lefty talks, he just lets it rip. He'll tell you like it is.
He does not hold back his thoughts.
No. We're going to have some random thoughts. We're going to get to Trey Herbert after these messages on 1650.
Coming to K-Talk 1650 in 2014, the Hampton Roads Admirals. That's right. You never have to miss an Admirals game because you can hear them coming in January 2014 on K-Talk 1650.
Attention gun enthusiasts, your complete store for guns is at 240 North Battlefield Boulevard in Chesapeake. Tom and the staff will assist you with tactical guns, custom AR builds, and they handle service and repair. Battlefield Guns and Ammo has specials, and they buy, sell, trade, consign, and do FFL transfers, and always look out for the military and the police. Log on to BattlefieldGunshop.com and call 410-7720. Open Monday through Saturday, this is your store for guns, ammo, and accessories. Battlefield Guns and Ammo in Chesapeake.
Nor'easter season is here, so don't get all wet.
Protect your house. Call Crawl Space Door Systems at 363-0005. Reduce your flood insurance, reduce the threat of mold and insects, and save energy. Crawl Space Doors, air vents, flood vents, vent covers, and fans can help you stay dry or get you dry quickly. Contact Crawl Space Doors for more information at 363-0005 or online at crawlspacedores.com. Stay dry, my friends.
Now back to Sports Scene on 1650 AM WHKT.
Have a holly jolly Christmas. It's the best time of the year. I don't know if there'll be snow, but have a cup of cheer. Have a holly jolly Christmas. And when you walk down.
And Ken Johnson, that has to be Burl Ives right there.
Good job.
All right, very good. That's like name that tune. I mean, you certain songs and Christmas holiday shows you remember as a kid, Frosty the Snowman, Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, Charlie Brown, kind of got you in that mood, and your mom was in the kitchen making something, really got you in the mood for the holidays, whether it was hot chocolate or hot tea or cookies or whatever. But holidays are a great time. Remember, like we said at the beginning of the show, empathy and etiquette for your fellow man, because patience, definitely. Boy, I tell you, whether you're driving on the road or waiting in the lines at the mall, you got to be having a lot of patience this time of the year. All right, this is Sports Scene right here on 1650 AM. News Talk. Find us on TuneIn.com. Your home for the Admiral starting in January right here on 1650 AM. For more, log on to GJBTV.com. Also, 1650WHKT.com. I want to thank Trey Herbert coming on in just a few moments. Also want to thank Nate Milton as well as Lefty Drizel, the legend, right here on Sports Scene. My former producer has been with me a lot over the years on Sports Talk Radio, still is today, Trey Herbert. Trey, welcome to 1650.
Hey, how's it going, Greg? Good to be with you.
Very good, my friend. Always a pleasure to talk to you as well. Went to VCU, of course, in broadcasting as well. And let's first of all, Trey, let's get some thoughts here. Your thoughts on the NFL in general and the Patriots. Boy, what a tough game they lost to the Dolphins, but it's still going to be hard to go against Tom Brady this weekend when they take on the Ravens, even though the Patriots will be on the road.
Yeah, it's been kind of a funny year for the Patriots. If you look at how the games have ended, they're really close. They're about 4 plays away from being 14-0. But on the flip side, they're about 5 plays away from being 6-8, 5-9. So it's been quite an interesting year, especially the way the year started. How they couldn't get anything going offensively, and now after Gronkowski came back, they can get things going offensively. And now that Gronk is out, they're really going to have to put something together here in these last 2 weeks.
Yeah, really, it's not really a matter of how you start, it's how you finish, because it's really just trying to get into the dance, just trying to be one of those 6 teams, the AFC or the NFC, to make it. And right now, in the driver's seat, right now, it looks like Seattle is the kingpin there in the NFC. In fact, Seattle used to be an AFC team way back in the day, but it's really going to be interesting to see how the Patriots and how the Dolphins and the Ravens here shape up the last few weeks. Who's going to make it in, and who's going to be in, who's going to be out, right, Trey?
Yeah, and you mentioned Seattle, and they lost 2 weeks ago in San Francisco, but is anybody going to Seattle and going to beat them? I mean, I don't see that happening. They take teams go to Seattle, and they just get blown out. We saw it happen to San Francisco back at the beginning of the year. They blew out San Francisco in Seattle. They blew out New Orleans about 3 weeks ago in Seattle. It's going to be really hard for anybody to go to Seattle and win a playoff game there. And then back to the Patriots, I don't see how they don't make the playoffs. I mean, they just have to win one more game or Miami lose a game. But this team, the writing is pretty much on the wall for them. It's that if they're going to make the playoffs, and they'll probably get bounced in 1 or 2 games. But to me, I don't see that as a disappointment for them, because they've overcome so much already this year with the loss of Hernandez in the offseason, Gronk not playing the first 6 weeks and then tearing his ACL a week ago, losing Vince Wilfork, Gerard Mayo on defense, and Sebastian Vollmer on the offensive line. These are tough losses to overcome.
Yeah. And here's the thing, too. It's one thing to play a 1 o'clock game or a 4:05 or 4:25 game. Yes, it's great that games are prime time, but when you're playing out in the cold, on the road, at night, you're sitting around all day long. NFL players and all athletes are creatures of habit. They wake up in the morning, they do their routine, they get their breakfast, they're ready to play at 1 o'clock. I don't put a whole lot of stock in these night games, especially for teams on the road. The only time it's really going to be a testament is when you're playing the Super Bowl, which leads me to the next segment, in the winter, on February 2nd, outdoors in the cold, in the tri-state area of New York. That's going to be difficult, but again, you've had 2 weeks to prepare. But when a team loses at night, like the Bengals on the road to the Steelers, I don't put a whole lot of stock in road games at night.
And the Bengals losing in Pittsburgh really isn't that bad of a loss for the Bengals, because that's a division game, and you're going to lose your share of division games, and those are crapshoots anyways, you know? So like New England going to Miami, that's not really a bad loss in my opinion. That's a game in the division on the road. But as you were saying about the Super Bowl, I mean, that's going to be crazy how it's going to be cold. We've never had a cold Super Bowl outdoors. So I'm really interested to see how the weather plays a factor in the game. Does this favor a team like Seattle or San Francisco? Does this go against a team like Denver, who seems to be a rhythm offense, and they seem to really thrive in the confines of good weather? But as it's gotten colder, we've seen them lose a couple of games late.
Yeah, this is Sports Scene right here. Greg Bicoveris, 1650 AM, and Devontae, Ken Johnson. Glad you're with us up until 1 o'clock. CBS News, final few moments with Trey Herbert. You're exactly right, because, I mean, it's talk about expensive, too. There's a lot of tolls there. So, number one, if you're going to go, be prepared for tolls. Who's going to sit out in the cold idle? In a cold seat? Well, you know the Jets and Giants aren't going to be there, first of all. The Jets and Geno Smith cannot get their act together, and the Giants really just been going backwards, being shut out by everybody this year, it seems. But it's going to be very difficult for a fan who's so used to having a restroom, food in the kitchen, and the refrigerator, you know, everything in their temperature-controlled house, to go sit outside and watch a game of teams they're probably not even interested in.
It's not going to be a problem for the fans that go to games that are maybe season ticket holders and they live in a cold area.
Right.
But if like a team like Miami ends up in the Super Bowl, which is very unlikely in my opinion.
You never know.
That would be really interesting to see these fans from Miami go into the cold weather of New York, New Jersey, and see how they fare. And I don't know about you, Greg, but I'm really hoping for a snowstorm for the Super Bowl.
Yeah, I was working recently for an NFL game on TV on Fox, and they had an open air window at the Vikings-Ravens game, and one of the people working there could not, I'm not going to mention his name, but said I could not handle this window being open. So you can imagine how the fans felt sitting out in the snow, because the Eagles had snow, the Ravens had snow, the Redskins had snow. There's nothing like watching it on TV, but when you're there, you are thinking about three things: trying to stay warm, trying to get something to eat, and trying to get to the restroom. And that's really it. You're not even thinking about watching the team or who's even playing, because as you get older, as Ken will attest to, it's always about the before and after in life. And sometimes the during is one thing, but it's just like the old saying, this is kind of a random thought, the old invitation tray is when you see an invitation 2 to 4, 4 to 6, you don't want to go anywhere for more than 2 or 3 hours anyway, whether it's a movie, a sporting event, or no matter what. All right, your final thought. You went to VCU. They did beat Wofford last night. They got their big schedule coming up with the Atlantic 10. Big game against Richmond on February 1st down the road. But what are your thoughts about Shaka and VCU switching gears to basketball? Can they make the March Madness again this year?
I think they can. Right now, it feels like a disappointing season so far, even though they are 9-3, and this is the third straight season that they've been 9-3. But I think since expectations rose up, it's, we see a loss to Florida State, we see a loss to Georgetown, we see a loss to the University of Northern Iowa in Iowa, and we see, these aren't games that we really thought VCU would be losing at the beginning of the year. Now, 5 years ago, you say VCU's playing Florida State, you're like, oh, okay, well, Florida State should take that game, Georgetown should take that game, but now expectations are up, and losing games like this to teams that aren't ranked is just not something that we thought we would see in the preseason from VCU, but they still have their whole conference schedule ahead of them. There's UMass is number 22 in the nation right now. They're 9-0. Dayton was ranked earlier. So I think there's a lot of time to, get it going. But you got to remember this team has 6 freshmen, and they're playing a new point guard. They're replacing Darius Diaz, who graduated last May. They're replacing Troy Daniels, who can hit the three from anywhere on the court. So I think they'll definitely be a contender come March. We'll just have to see how conference play. How they treat conference play, and they also have a couple big games coming up. Virginia Tech on Saturday. They have Boston College a week from that. So Boston College not so great this year, but Virginia Tech is 7-3, and people at VCU always kind of have a little chip on their shoulder when they're playing the Virginia Techs and the UVAs.
Well, Trey, thanks a lot for joining me. Always a pleasure to talk to you. Always enjoyed working with you, and you'll be here in the studio with me sometime later in January to do a little roundtable as well.
Yes, sir, Greg. Always great to join you.
All right. Happy holidays, Trey. Give the best to your family.
Thank you, too.
All right. Trey Herbert right there, sports producer right here in Hampton Roads. Greg Bicoveris, final few moments. Our business spotlight right here on Sports Scene presented by GJBTV.com. Randy Holdman from the Old Town Tavern in Hampton. Randy, how are you, my friend? Happy holidays.
Well, happy holidays to you, Greg, and I'm doing fine down here.
Well, are you doing better now that the Steelers beat the Bengals on Sunday?
Yeah, they probably showed up and looked like the Steelers of old for a little while there.
They did. You got to love the Steelers uniform. It still brings back memories of Bradshaw and Franco Harris and Rocky Bleier, doesn't it?
Yeah, they like to stick with the, without all the changes, stick with the old uniforms for a while. Well, they don't go back to those Bumblebee uniforms.
Well, look, I know you're going to be one of our future sponsors here on the radio. You've been with me for so many years, and talk about what's cooking right now at Old Town Tavern in Hampton. You got great seafood there.
Oh yeah, we've been going with our oysters today. People have been going crazy on our. I know it seems like oyster season just about done with, but it's up and running. People have been eating oysters like crazy today. Fried oysters have been on the special board, and they've been flying out here. It's been a good day for that.
Very good. Where are you located, Andy, in Hampton? Talk to the fans where you're located at.
Well, we're located in the Phoebus area of Hampton, the old 1930s. They incorporated into Hampton, but we're right here by the Hampton Roads Bridge Tunnel, first or last exit by the Hampton Road Bridge Tunnel, right about less than a half mile off of there. Right here, like I said, Foreman Road is right down the street. But they turned that to the state park down there for all their historic things. So we're located right here, a prime location right here between Fort Road and the interstate.
Old Town Tavern's on Facebook. Give them a call at 251-2636. Holiday parties and great place to get some burgers too, right?
Oh, absolutely. You got to have some burgers and some specials, salads and some nice 100% beef burgers and wings, because we do the sports, and everybody watching football likes to have a few wings and a couple drinks with their football games.
How about entertainment?
And we do live entertainment. Usually a lot of some nice acoustic stuff Wednesdays and Thursdays. And we like to have live music 3 or 4 nights a week, so Wednesday through Saturday usually.
And you got plenty of great parking in the back, too.
Nice big lighted parking lot right here in the back. It's good, People are a little worried. The front street, like I said, is an old old town, so there's a couple little street parking in there, but you can run around the building, and it gives you the nice big open parking lot.
All right, Randy, Randy Holtman right there at 251-2636. That's 251-2636 at 31 East Mellon Street in Hampton. Go by there and get some good comfort food at Old Town Tavern, right, Randy?
That's right. I appreciate it, Greg, and I love the show.
Thank you, my friend, and we'll look forward to talking to you very soon.
All right, talk to you soon.
Very good. Randy Holtman right there from Old Town Tavern. You got to eat, folks. You got to eat. Go to Old Town Tavern. And Ken, excellent program, and the random thoughts, too. I'm going to get to them real quick. I'm going to fire off the random thoughts here. And you can talk about the playoff scenarios, but 2 weeks left, it's still wide open. Weather, wow, cold, hot, cold. Welcome to Virginia. And when you want a good steak, go to the Aberdeen Barn in Virginia Beach. When you want a good burger, go to Old Town Tavern. You want a good breakfast, go to the Egg Bistro. So those are my 3 holiday restaurant choices right there. I want to thank our great guest today, Nate Milton from NNPS TV and NNPSTV.com, where I do sports highlights and games. Also the legend, Lefty Drizel, Trey Herbert, and also Randy Holtman. Great guests. We're going to take Christmas and New Year's Day off because they fall on Wednesdays. The next 2 Wednesdays we'll be back live right here in the studio on January the 8th from 12 to 1 on your home for CBS News. For Ken Johnson and Devontae, I'm Greg Picaveras. We'll talk to you soon.